life can hit like a sledgehammer. But guess what? We hit back harder. Welcome to Affirm That Sh. Somehow I thrive. I'm Jennifer Rogers, your no BS guide to turning life's toughest moments into badass victories. Ready to flip the script? Let's affirm that life can be a bitch, but somehow we thrive. Welcome to Affirm That Sh. I'm your host, Jennifer Rogers, and today our guest is Dr. David Schneer, a researcher, author, and speaker who turned unimaginable pain into profound purpose. On Christmas Eve 2015, David was brutally assaulted in his own home, leaving him with a cracked spine and a long road of recovery. Today, he's going to take us into his journey of healing, resilience, and rediscovery. But before we meet David, let's get into his affirmations. I invite you now, in your space and place, to get comfortable. Take a deep breath in and out, and repeat along with me. I am grateful for the second chances that pain has given me, the chance to rise, to heal, to inspire. I am grateful for the second chances that pain has given me, the chance to rise, to heal, to inspire. I am grateful for the second chances that pain has given me, the chance to rise, to heal, to inspire. I rebuilt my sense of safety on the foundation of trust in myself. I rebuilt my sense of safety on the foundation of trust in myself. I rebuilt my sense of safety on the foundation of trust in myself. I am living proof that even shattered bones cannot break an unshakable spirit. I am living proof that even shattered bones cannot break an unshakable spirit. I am living proof that even shattered bones cannot break an unshakable spirit. Stay with us. We'll meet David right after this break.
Hi, my name is Connie Walton,
And I'm Jennifer Rogers.
and together we are the co-founders of the Sacred Utori Collective.
Sacred Utori Collective invites you to come spend time with us March 2026 in this beautiful home in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. It's a retreat where you will find yourself in a quiet space with your soul sisters, reliving, replenishing, and reigniting your soul.
To find out more, visit our website at sacredutoricollective.com to snag your ticket to this beautiful retreat. So once in a lifetime, you don't want to miss it.
Welcome, David, to Affirm That Sh. Thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you for having me, Jennifer. I saw an episode with my colleague Terry Healy, and I was so moved by that I thought I just really need to be on this show and talk with you. So pleasure is all mine.
Well, thank you for supporting the show, for supporting Terry, and we are so honored that you're here. And I can't imagine being in the safety of my home, Christmas Eve, guards down, things ready to go, and being attacked. Take us right into that night, David.
Sure, for me, it's almost like it happened yesterday. I can still remember the crack of my spine hearing it. It was Christmas Eve, 2015. We're in Northern California. We had about 16 relatives over. And, we were a boisterous crew, and food was being served, and the alcohol was flowing. And somebody got the bright idea to go to the store and get more alcohol, which really wasn't necessary, but they insisted. Long story short, the person that went to get the extra alcohol drank too much of it, along with their significant other, and they began to fight horribly in my home. And at that point, I decided I had had enough, because this wasn't the first time that these two had, uh, caused issues. And I had it. I had had enough, and I got up to break the fight up, and it was like a knife fight in a phone booth. It just was really nasty. I was hoisted up above the attacker's head and slammed on the floor. And then I was picked up and I was shoved through the wall. Actually, my ass went right through the wall in my torso. So when you pull me away, you see a perfect indentation of my rear end in the wall. This person also attacked somebody else, but somebody had some brains about them and eventually called the police. And the police came in and hauled this other person away, and they checked on me, and I thought, I'm probably okay, back hurts a little bit. Well, the next morning was horrible. I could barely stand, could barely walk. And that was the incident that propelled me into a series of 5 major spinal surgeries from 2016 to 2023. I'm still recovering from a cervical fusion in my neck. My back is also fused. Uh, and, when you're in that condition and you're so helpless and you're in such pain, the tendency is to kind of turn inside and, have a pity party about it, and to sit and cry and why me. And, I was just laying around like the dog's breakfast, not doing anything. And 2 years ago, that I had the idea that, I've been involved in research for 4 decades. And I'm now pushing the envelope in qualitative research. I'm going to write a book that talks about my life, but is really a metaphor for the characteristics that I think it takes to be a modern qualitative researcher. Now, what is that? All right. So, a qualitative researcher is somebody who gets information from people face to face, focus groups, in depth interviews, just like you are kind of right now, as opposed to quantitative research, where it's all numbers. Like the presidential elections, for example, those are quantitative surveys. But I specialize on the other side of that research, qualitative research. And about 10, 15 years ago, I began to beat the drum about why is it that a social science research methodology designed to understand human behavior is largely blind to nonverbal intelligence and body language. Same with HR, by the way. Okay. In human
I'll let you
resources.
go on the HR.
Yeah, I can riff on that for a little bit, but
Yeah.
uh,
Well, David, I wanna ask you, because that was not an easy process to sit there. This wasn't just, like you said, it took you years. It took you that time sitting inside your brain.
Yeah,
So outside of just thinking, okay, I'm going to do the research, I want to go back just a little bit.
sure.
And I want to talk about, because you're turning, and like we said in the introduction, you're turning that pain into purpose. You
Correct.
did something with that, but there's
Correct.
other things you had to go through to get there. And so when you are going through those 5 surgeries, what did endurance, surrender, and faith look like to you? And however you define faith, whether it was questioning, whether it was, like you said, why me? But what did those experiences teach you during that time?
That I was stronger than I thought I ever was. I spent a decade in the seminary. I have a doctorate in theology. I not a godly man by any means, but I know a little bit about God more than the average bear. I leaned on that to give me the strength to get up in the morning despite the pain. In 2007, I lost my mother, who had the same 10-hour back surgery that I did. And I remember that. And I remember I begged her not to have this surgery. She had it anyway, and she passed away 6 weeks later. This is a brutal surgery. But I remember her saying, "I will not be in a wheelchair, and I will not have your father push me around." And it stuck with me to the point where I was facing to be in a wheelchair. So I had to train my mind that this is going to be one long mission to keep me from the wheelchair. And every day was a battle. It still is. It still is. Like getting up early today, uh, 8 o'clock here, right? I had to get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock just to be able to, trust me, you do not want to see me climbing out of bed. That's the authentic me. But I got to polish up, and it takes time, and everything is slowed down for me now, which I appreciate. But yeah, it was faith in myself, faith in God, despite um, my shortcomings.
Well, and like you said, we question, why me? You were providing this home for a beautiful gathering, and these
Right.
things happened in your home. So why? So there's frustrations that go through that.
Yeah. You'll never know why, really. It was alcohol induced aggression. It's like asking, why did Jeffrey Dahmer eat his victims? We'll never know. It's a question that you ask it for a while and you realize you're not going to know. And so you have to forgive. Okay. That doesn't mean to forget.
No, and that was my next question to you, was what did forgiveness look like? Because not only did you have to forgive your attacker, but the circumstances, and if we're really honest here, pieces of yourself you had to forgive.
The attacker was not a random assailant, somebody I was related to. And I had to work through several rages, suicidal, homicidal, to the point where all that anger was just doing nothing but eating me up inside. And it was after talking, I joined a group called the Boss Academy. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they're a really good group of entrepreneurs that struggle and suffer, and we all talk about stuff. I joined that group, and there's a couple in there that heard my story and actually saw me go through one of my surgeries, and they said, "Man, you should write a book." And I'm like, "Oh man, that's the last thing in the world I want to do is write a freaking book." So, but that seed was planted and it began to grow inside me like, yeah, maybe that's what this is all about. Maybe I should tell my story. And that's how every day I got up. And now, I'm writing a book on an iPad, laying down, standing up, sitting down, laying down. I mean, it was crazy how I had to write this thing, but I didn't tell anybody. For 2 years, I didn't tell anybody because I wanted it to be mine. I didn't want anybody to influence it. And then, pow, there's a book. And it's like having a baby. It's like having a kid. It's like, oh, you bring this thing into the world. Now people are going to like it. Is it a really good reflection of you? You know, or is this best used for bird cage lining? Right?
Well, I don't think it's birdcage lining. Your story is one that, again, somebody you knew in your home, in an event, those are the things furthest from our mind when we're having those family gatherings.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a question. You're sitting here with us today and you shared, I can see this as if it happened yesterday. I can feel that crack. I can feel him, pick me up, lift me up. You're sitting here with us today on Affirm That Shit. I want you to look back and look down into that event. And if you could speak to Dave that night, what would you want him to know?
Let the cops handle it. I should have backed down. I should have figured out a different way to handle this, but I didn't. And so there's a wee bit of responsibility there. But then again, what I had done, I didn't hit anybody. I didn't push anybody. I didn't touch anybody. Yet I was body slammed terrifically. So that seemed out of place. I had another person there who was at a fire poker in one hand and a cell phone in the other, and decided to call the police, and that's what we should have done. But I had just reached my limit of that shit in my house.
And you, as a behavior analyst, know that we get that amygdala hijacking, right?
Yeah, you
And
know,
emotions go out, feelings are gone, logic is gone, and you are
yeah,
just in that moment running.
I was.
So I think you give yourself a little grace and get rid of those shouldas.
Well, I'm not, look, I don't have any guilt over
Mm,
this at all. But like in everything you do, Lisa and I do, I look back, but not long, and just say, what could I have
good.
done differently? And we move on.
That's right.
And
That's
that's
right.
that's what I did. I moved on. I didn't file charges. I didn't sue anybody. I didn't, I could have done a lot of things that I didn't do, but I am a firm believer in karma,
Mm,
and there really wasn't much for me to gain by doing anything. The only people that would gain would be the lawyers. And once
sure.
you realize you can forgive somebody, doesn't mean you forget, but it does mean you forgive. And what that does is it frees you up of the daily grind of hatred and revenge. It just sucks the soul right out of you. And to replace that with a book and to talk about my life, and because I have an interesting one, was therapeutic, medicinal, very much so.
It is. It's very cathartic when you're writing and you're getting it
Cathartic,
out.
for sure. Great word. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Tell us today, because we've mentioned now that you are a behavioral researcher or behavioral analyst. What are you doing today? Because there's going to be some people that be like, I have to read this book. How can you be attacked in your home and not seek vindication through the court system? How do you do these things? So tell our viewers and our listeners what you're doing today. How can they get their hands on your book and how can they reach out to you?
Sure. Today, I have pushed the envelope for qualitative research further than anybody in the universe. So let's just stop right there because that's a kind of a big, bold statement, but it's true. Uh, I am a qualitative researcher, which means I have been talking to thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people for nearly 4 decades. Next year, it'll be 40 years that I've been doing this. 40 years I've been doing this. In addition to that experience that I have, I am also, I can tell you after having worked for the largest corporations on the planet and traveled the world and talked to all sorts of people, I can tell you that when I ask them about their likes, dislikes, preferences, or whatever, I'm here to tell you that oftentimes what comes out of their mouth is not what their bodies are saying. And so I became a student of nonverbal intelligence. I trained in Europe. I trained with ex-FBI, Joe Navarro. I'm training people now. And what I do, which is really unique, is I'm a qualitative researcher that's also a nonverbal uh, practitioner. And that means that when I'm talking to you, that I'm reading you and I'm trying to understand if what is coming out of your mouth tracks with what your body says. And it's super effective. The other thing that I did is I added AI to the mix. All right. So what does that mean? Now this is important. And this is written. This allowed me to write Backbone because nobody's done this before. I am highly trained to spot facial microexpressions, which is emotional leakage. And there's 7 of them. If you're human, you're going to show them. It's going to be happiness, sadness, disgust, fear, anger, uh, contempt, right? And then neutral. Okay. If you're human, you'll show one of those expressions. I'm trained to catch them. What we did is we trained AI to spot those same emotional leakages so that when I'm interviewing somebody and I'm videotaping them and I sense something's amiss, I have backup now. And we can go back and we can see the AI is highly trained. It's more trained than me. It's more accurate than me because it's not asking questions, it's just observing. It was groundbreaking to be able to show respondents absolutely saying one thing, and we're recording them. We have graphs. It looks like an EKG of emotion. And we're showing where their emotion dips and their mouth is up here, but their body's down here. It was so powerful. We've now done it 7 or 8 times. And, that is what I wanted to do with the book. I wanted to take qualitative research further than anybody else and leave it in a position better than when I found it. And I didn't want my 5 surgeries to be the focal point. I wanted it to be the fulcrum to leverage that story. Does that make sense?
100%. And I love this topic. I love talking about those nonverbal cues because you've said it, they leak out from that twitch of the nose to the piercing of the lips to, there's so many things that we do that we don't realize we're telling on ourselves or we're giving cues away. And so I love this topic. You and I could talk about this all day long because there's so much behind it. And I'm really interested in that AI portion because that's amazing. And I think I'm with you, that's groundbreaking. And to watch what that's going to do as we move forward with technology is going to be amazing. So kudos to you on putting that time and research in and using your healing time to really heal top to bottom and front to back. You're amazing. Let me just say.
I haven't cornered the market on suffering. I was afraid. Oh, I was afraid to come onto the show after watching Terry because I suffered too.
Yeah.
Talk to me. Um,
No, and that's what this is. It's that's the acronym of shit is somehow I
yeah,
thrived. And
look,
what are you doing with that shit story? And you have really owned it and
yeah,
launched it. And so what we'll do, David, if you'll tell us how to get your book, we'll put that link out there. If you've got a way that you want our viewers and listeners to make contact with you, whether it's through social media and email, let us know and we'll include all that in the show notes. And I think you're going to have other Jennifer Rogers out there who are interested in that AI and body language reaching out to you.
Well, you and I can talk offline at some point, but you know, nonverbal intelligence has taken on a greater importance these days when the truth is under assault. And it's a very valuable tool. It's like speaking another language. But you know, one thing that I wanted to mention is that the American Disabilities Act, wheelchair ramps, curbs, tire stops, none of that. I didn't give a crap about any of that. Elevators, none of it until it happened to me. I'm disabled now. My left ankle is still paralyzed. Okay. So I walk with a cane. But once it happens to you, boy, does that stuff become important. It's just so funny how your mindset changes. And so the key is to be able to get there without having to suffer through it, right? So, but I'm all over LinkedIn. If you can't find me on LinkedIn and you don't know how to use it, but reach out to me. All my contact information is there. The Merrill Research website is www.merrillresearch.com. A lot of great information, free information on there about body language and research.
Well, I greatly appreciate your time today, and I enjoyed our conversation. And thank you for not just cornering that suffering market.
You know, I want to say thank you. I wish I had a Porsche for me. Boy, this is great because I'm usually screwing up the podcast. But Jennifer, it was a pleasure. God bless you. You know, you're a real one, and I hope we can do this again.
Absolutely. And I am blessed to have Portia for my viewers and listeners. They know she's my magic behind the scenes, and she's even come on scene before. So the wonderful
Yeah,
producer, Portia.
yeah.
And if you're not liking and subscribing, affirm that shit, do it today. You just took another step towards owning your story and thriving against all odds. This is Affirm That Shit. Somehow, I thrived. If you're ready to keep kicking ass, subscribe now and let's keep breaking barriers together. Remember, life's a battle, but somehow you'll thrive.